Okay, so we're going to get things kicked off here. And I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to join us today. Pardon me. Got 8 folks. Please, guys, if you could tell us, where are you joining us from today? Please let us know your name and where are you from. We're going to get kicked off in a minute here. We just want to get a sense as to who we've got in the audience today. It actually can help us sometimes tailor the presentation a little bit to the different areas because, every state, every province, and different countries have some different considerations that we can bring into the mix. So whoever's there today, please go ahead and you'll see a chat box on the right side, and please let us know. Where are you from? So we've got Michelle. She's coming from Virginia. Awesome. Jackie Hernandez from California. Awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so we got some East Coast and West Coast folks. So my name's Jono. I'm joining you today. I'm obviously hosting this webinar today. We're based in Toronto, but I also have Pat on with me today. She is the director of customer support at Hubbli, and she herself is in California. So we've got a number of folks here already. So it's really exciting. Let's see here. Linda, where are you joining us from today? Linda's in Ohio. Right on. My brother's moving to Cincinnati this summer, so I'm going to be hitting Ohio probably a number of times over the next coming years. So that's a big state. I look forward to getting to know it a little bit. Okay, so I'm glad everybody's here with us today, and I do have some unfortunate news. Jonathan Wolff was supposed to be joining us today, and he unfortunately had a scheduling conflict. But what he did is he sent us a video to play. So I'm just going to load that up so that he can tell you himself what happened. Are you guys now seeing my screen okay? There we go. Now we're going to...
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Wolff. I was due to be on this webcast working with Jono, but I had a schedule conflict. So I just wanted to say that I work with Jono because I do a tremendous amount of work in my consulting work with Montessori schools around the world on improving parent-teacher relations, parent-school relations. I see a lot of challenges in those areas in terms of helping teachers really build up trust and communicate with parents, having parents understand messages from the school and follow through. So Jono and I are working to sort of on two sides of the same coin. Jono has a platform, a technical online platform that I think is a perfect foundation for helping staff improve the partnership with parents, helping parents feel much more comfortable negotiating the messaging system from the school to the benefit of their children, the retention of their enrollment in the school, and in support of the teachers. So I look forward to joining you on a future webcast. We'll be doing a number of these with Jono to sort of lend the Montessori side to this equation because I think that parents can have a much better experience in schools, which only helps teachers and children both. Take care.
Okay. So that was a message from John. Did everybody see that video okay? I just want to make sure that that video played properly and everybody was able to hear it because it's, it's really important that Jonathan was, he really felt bad about not being able to join us today and having a scheduling conflict. And also, guys, remember, we're going to be doing another webinar this Friday on a slightly different topic, but we'll make sure that you guys get invitations to that. And John and I are doing these. It looks like it'll be on a weekly basis as well. So we'll be doing different topics. It's going to be incredible. So, okay, great. So everybody saw that. So I'm going to move on with the presentation. And thanks, Michelle, for confirming that for me. So, I just wanted to, just bear with me one second here. So, I want you to take a look at this picture here. And just, ask yourself if you can relate to this image. Somebody on the... Sorry, Jackie. So Jackie, I'm just going to stop because I see a comment from Jackie. You say no, not yet. So Jackie, are you referring to not having seen the video that was played? If I could just ask, if somebody could just say either yes, we saw the video, or no, we did not see the video, and then I'll replay the video. It's just a minute long, so it's just a really important message from Jonathan Wolff. And again, I'm sorry for these technical challenges, guys, but it's really helpful to know if that video worked or not. And then I'll move on with the presentation. Okay, so just to be safe, I'm gonna play that video again. It's only about a minute long, so everybody hold tight. In case this is repetitive for you, I do apologize. So just bear with me one second here.
Good afternoon. My name is Jonathan Wolff. I was due to be on this webcast working with Jono, but I had a schedule conflict. So I just wanted to say that I work with Jono because I do a tremendous amount of work in my consulting work with Montessori schools around the world on improving parent-teacher relations, parent-school relations. I see a lot of challenges in those areas in terms of helping teachers really build up trust and communicate with parents, having parents understand messages from the school and follow through. So Jono and I are working to sort of on two sides of the same coin. Jono has a platform, a technical online platform that I think is a perfect foundation for helping staff improve the partnership with parents, helping parents feel much more comfortable negotiating the messaging system from the school to the benefit of their children, the retention of their enrollment in the school, and in support of the teachers. So I look forward to joining you on a future webcast. We'll be doing a number of these with Jono to sort of lend the Montessori side to this equation, because I think that parents can have a much better experience in schools, which only helps teachers and children both. Take care.
Okay, so that's the last time I'm going to play that, and for that, and let's move on. So again, take a look at this imagery on this screen here for a second. And think if you can relate to this: the paper, the calendars, the binders, the piles of money, the sticky notes. You know, all the while there's this computer sitting beside her that could actually manage all the same types of tasks. You know, with the right software, it could actually do it with a fraction of the time and hassle. So, you know, you're in the right place if you spend hours managing communication tools and communication systems. You spend if you spend hours every week managing paperwork, piles of paper, and and if you would rather be spending more time on higher value tasks like face-to-face conversations with parents, and you know you know classroom time with the children, because hey, like that's what we're all in this for, of course, right? So one thing I want to mention now is that if you stick with me all the way to the end of the webinar, there's going to be a really awesome bonus for you. And I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. It's going to be a surprise. And I want you to be motivated to see all this information. And I know that it's really relevant to you and you need it. So that's my little carrot, and I'll let you wonder what it is for now. So the first goal here today is to learn how to use the right communication tools the right way, so that parents actually read your messages and are informed of what's going on at the school. And the second goal here is to learn how to be found by and how to engage the most ideal families for your school, and how to engage them throughout the entire scope of your program. And the third goal is how to reduce the time and the expense that you and your staff put into a, just disjointed patchwork-like communication system. And, so I just want to talk about me and my family for a quick second. We live in Toronto, Canada, and here in Ontario, which is the province that Toronto is in, the Ministry of Education, that's like, our state, they really like to pound on the paperwork. My wife, Kyla, is an expert in early childhood education. She has worked in many education scenarios here in Toronto, and I know firsthand how much time she spends performing state-required paperwork, documenting the progress of the children and all that stuff, which is obviously really important. But this type of documentation, when done through a paper-based and inefficient system, results in, well, it can result in lower program quality. Things like material development, instructional planning, communication with parents, working with your teammates. These are the things that actually increase program quality, right? So anything that takes teachers away from these things, it lowers the quality of the programming, and that's what we're seeing with kind of the bureaucratic process that states and ministries are kind of forcing on everybody. So parent engagement is the holy grail, right? And I'm sure everyone here agrees that parent engagement is incredibly important for the successful outcomes for students, right? And every major university has education departments focused on it, and you know, and but no one is actually addressing the biggest roadblock to parent engagement. And when I realized that, that's when I kind of became obsessed with enhancing parent engagement. So, for many reasons, I decided it was my mission to figure out the system for Montessori schools that will not only improve and simplify parent engagement, but also make it way easier for the staff to perform their jobs by removing the hassles that exist with managing multiple communication tools. And the beautiful thing is that it's actually the same solution for both sides of the coin. Meaning, if you can simplify the tools and the systems that the staff use, it will make it easier for them to focus on the students and improve their learning experience. While at the same time, giving a simpler system will actually give parents the experience that they prefer as well. So those are two great results that you want to achieve. And that's why I built Hubbli, which is this all-in-one parent engagement system. And the lessons I'm going to give you today are all based off thousands of conversations I've had with school directors, with teachers and parents and office managers, communications directors, admissions directors, etc. And I've used these to build and continuously improve Hubbli. So this information is not only coming from those conversations, it's also coming from data, because we have a system that has managed over 3 million parent messages between the school and parents. So the big question here is, why is building a great parent engagement system so hard to nail down, right? Like, well, schools are, they're not run by digital communication experts. They're run by education experts. And that's the way it should be. That's the kind of school I want my kids in, right? But this does create a distinct challenge for schools. And the reality is that parents are experiencing frustrating and confusing communication systems. Every school we talk to really has no standard of communication between the school and the parents. From one teacher to the other, oftentimes it's a different experience for the parents, right? One teacher uses Facebook, another teacher uses sticky notes, another teacher uses text messages from her phone, and some parents have multiple teachers doing all these various forms of communication, and they don't know where anything is. So, I just want you to think, like, have you ever been frustrated by parents who say they don't know about events? Even though you've sent the information to them many times, or have you found that, because some staff also didn't know what was happening, they didn't maybe follow through with their responsibilities, right? So in reality, parents and staff are literally being programmed by the system itself to ignore the communications from the school. So here are some common mistakes that cause messages to be missed or misunderstood, right? So just, in your head, mentally check the ones that happen in your school, and I'm going to list them here. So common mistake number one: sending everything to everyone, regardless of its usefulness and relevance to each specific parent. Common mistake number two is sending information over and over with the hope that parents will read it. And common mistake number three is parent complaining. Common outcome is that parents will complain, that they have to look in multiple locations for important information. And then the last one is excessive time and money going into consuming, time and money consuming paper processes. So what many of us don't realize is that these practices ensure that many parents won't read your messages. So if you don't have all the communication best practices put in place, it creates unnecessary workload for staff, less teaching time for teachers, more dissatisfaction and frustration for parents, and more misunderstandings and conflicts. So, if you have parents that are dissatisfied by the communication system in your school, the research shows that regardless of program quality, this can affect the retention of those families. And all of this creates far more work to keep the school running, and keep it full of students. And so I just want to actually credit Jonathan Wolff for this slide, because he really he basically wrote this one. But if you could imagine if there was an all-encompassing communications tool that ensured parents were informed and that they enjoyed the experience, right? Think about that. Maria Montessori spoke of, the concept of follow the child. And what if we followed the same principle with our communications to parents, right? What would happen if our messaging practices were more responsive to the lifestyle needs and communication tendencies of the families we serve and hope to retain? So let's do a quick poll. I want to hear from the audience today. How many communication tools are you guys using? Feel free to just type in the chat box on the right side. We'll give you a minute here. Think about that. What comes top of mind? How many tools? And can you give us some examples of the tools that are being used at your school to communicate? And by, basically anything that facilitates information being shared from the school to the parents, or vice versa, from the parents back to the school. That's a communication tool. That's part of your communication system. It could be your website, Facebook, your an email newsletter tool like Constant Contact, a sign up tool like Scheduling Genius. So please use the chat box on the right side and let us know what are you guys doing at your school. Okay, Mary Lou's using Brightwheel. Okay. Is that it? Is that the only one you guys are using? Is that the only way you communicate between? Okay, Melissa's got Transparent Classroom, CRM for email communication, phone, website, Gmail. Okay, now we're seeing, pretty common scenarios. So Stacy's got 4: Campaign Monitor. Okay, yeah, it's an email newsletter tool, Facebook, Twitter, and paper flyers. All right, great examples. Are you guys sending any text messages? Are you, um, you doing any other forms of communication? How about phone calls? That's another tool being used. So thanks, guys. That's really helpful. I love hearing from the audience. This is a very common responses we're hearing. It's a mixture of many different communication tools. Most usually they're not actually built for school communication specifically. So just to move on to get real specific here. So this one lady I spoke with recently said that she had to simply reschedule a meeting, and it took 45 minutes for her to simply look through this spaghetti-like email thread and just figure out who could or couldn't make multiple different proposed times that every person in the thread was proposing. It was kind of a hairy scenario, right? So this is what you can end up with when everyone's hitting reply all. So this gets really, really fun when everyone's like on different email providers, and and each one organizes the thread differently. So what you end up with is this lovely email thread like this, and it's when this is what it looks like when all the messages are actually collapsed. Then you have to open each one of them, and see what the previous messages we're saying. So this actually is like a list of progressively longer email threads. It's like a bowl of spaghetti stacked on top of the other. So like you're looking, you're searching through all these, this pile of bowls of spaghetti, and you're just looking for like a noodle of information, so to speak, right? So that's not really an efficient way to manage communication. It can get very time consuming. So anytime, now I just, I want this really to hit home. So, I want this image to sink in for a second, because next time you go to hit reply all to an email, think about the unintended casualties that happen on a daily basis from seemingly innocent behavior. There's actually a story today here in Ontario. A member of Parliament in Ontario unfortunately hit reply all by mistake, and he sent something that was a somewhat of a I'm not going to get specific, but an image that should not have been shared. And he hit reply all by mistake. He thought he was just sending it to one person, and he's basically going to be resigning today. So, I've talked to school directors in the same scenario. I've school directors like a reply all incident, and sorry, like that was not something that was personal or inappropriate, or something happened, went out to everybody, and they for some reason are resigning the next week. So, it's if that isn't scary enough to deter you from hitting reply all, I hope this cute little kitten helps you remember never to hit reply all. Poor little guy. So instead of using email for group communication, you want to use a tool that's designed specifically for group communication. So group threads like this, this is the example from the Hubbli system. They're much better for group conversations, because once something is posted, if somebody has a question, everyone can see the answer. So the teacher doesn't have to answer it separately for every single parent. And, it's really easy to see the thread of conversation. And everything is contained in that group. So when people need to find information, it's already organized for them in context, rather than having to sift through their entire email archive where everything else from their entire life is kind of piled on top of it. So you also you want to make sure that whatever tool you use to send messages, it tracks all the messages and tells you who read them or clicked on them or replied to them. So if you look at the example here in the Hubbli group, so we actually make it really easy to see that information on every single message you send to everybody. So we're telling you if they opened it, if they read it. So, in summary, you want to think about social groups like this one here on Hubbli, because they're a great way to reduce tons of time and effort around managing communication. Things that are seemingly innocent, like reply all email threads with groups, can end up just taking an hour out of your day, and it's not an unusual thing. So you want something that has real-time updates, and you want something that combines multiple forms of communication into these groups. So here on Hubbli, you've got events, you've got newsletters in here, and you've got media sharing. Like you can create albums, and you can send documents and share pictures and videos and all that stuff. So you want to make sure that that group tool has all those features as well. And strategy number 2 is you want to make sure that the system that you use has an option to send out notifications. And you want to make sure it has both email and mobile notifications. That's really important. So, because that way it's got a much better chance of being read. So this is a fairly standard feature of group communication tools like Facebook and Google and Instagram and Twitter, etc. Right? The problem is, so we're looking at like the Hubbli version of that, but the problem is that with those other tools that are not built for schools, right? Parents can always turn off the notifications, and they often do on those sites, because otherwise, like they kind of get millions of notifications from everything. So that a lot of times they just turn everything off. So the benefit of a notification system built specifically for schools, like Hubbli is that it's a discrete channel of communication, so it doesn't get mixed in with everything else. So we also know that you need to have the authority to override any type of settings that maybe a parent might adjust. So let's say something's urgent and they've turned off their notifications, you as like the school leader, you can always override that. So whereas on a place like Facebook, you don't really have any control over that, unfortunately. Another really important feature you want to look for, and I really can't stress this one enough, is that whatever system or tool you use, make sure the parents don't have to log in to respond. If you want to increase parent engagement, you absolutely must remove as many barriers as possible. You have to not require additional steps that are unnecessary. So you want to use a tool that allows users to reply to a system notification, that lands in their email directly from that email. Again, there's a number of tools out there that can do that, right? I've named them already: Facebook, LinkedIn, Google. Those are the most popular ones. But this diagram here is an example of how Hubbli does it. There is an additional benefit here. So first and foremost, this is really about removing the barriers for your parents and making parent communication as easy and enjoyable as possible for everyone. But there's a very valuable ancillary benefit here in Hubbli's case, because as a school admin, you actually have access to all the communication records that are, going between your staff and your parents. Even if the parents and the staff aren't logging in, but they're emailing back and forth, it's actually being archived also inside Hubbli as a private message conversation for you as a school admin to have access to, which can come in handy here and there. Third strategy here is calendar management. Calendars are another place where we see schools losing a lot of time that could be better spent on higher value tasks. Many admins that I talk to have multiple calendar systems and tools, and they keep on they have to keep updating each one manually, reminding people about events all the time, and scheduling and all this stuff can be really time consuming, especially when you're doing it sort of redundantly across multiple tools. So, um, so so basically, you want to create separate calendars for each class or program so that parents don't have to sift through events that are not relevant to them. Because if they have to do that, many times they just won't bother. They'll push it off because it's just something else that they have to do, and it can become a little bit frustrating or annoying, or maybe they're just too busy and they forget. So it's really just like I said, parents should not have to log into any system to be informed. So you want to, if you notice here on this example of the Hubbli calendar tool, it has a feature so parents can just synchronize their personal calendar devices. So any events from the Hubbli calendar, and that's filtering events that are just for them, will show up in their iPhone or Android or their Google Calendar automatically. So they're wherever they go to see their other events, they'll be there all the time. So in Hubbli, we give you this kind of one centralized calendar tool. It allows you to create events and assign them to any specific programs or groups, and it can send out notification to those parents as well. But like all the features, Hubbli has it baked into this one platform. There are many separate calendar tools out there that actually offer these same features. So again, you don't have to be a Hubbli customer to get these benefits. You can use Google Calendar, you can use Outlook. They have these tools if you want to manage them in separate locations. And so now, this is the reason why I'm talking about newsletters now, is because the question is, I guess maybe the more important question is, what should go into your newsletters? So there is a time and place for newsletters, but if you're using groups and other tools the right way, their respective notification systems really should be taking care of the majority of your day-to-day announcements and reminders to parents and your staff. So newsletters are really best used for less frequent communications that can really be more of a value add to your parents or maybe your prospective parents, right? So if they're not bogged down with kind of the day-to-day details, it'll allow you to write much more engaging and targeted newsletters that will be valued by your parents or your prospective parents, right? So they really should be focused on parent education and giving them tools and understanding that they can use at home with their kids. So your newsletter now becomes a value add that parents will share with all their friends, rather than just list off details that are kind of usually mostly about everyone else's children. Right, so this is an example of the Hubbli newsletter designer. It has all the same functions and features you can find in other newsletter tools like MailChimp or Constant Contact or Campaign Monitor, which was mentioned today. There's a number of them out there. But of course, with Hubbli's, it's not a separate tool, so actually don't have to manage lists and contacts in a separate location. So it's a little bit easier in that sense. And as I mentioned earlier, the average school is spending approximately $2,000 per month on the cost of buying paper, printing, photocopy repairs, postage, and of course, the hours that it takes to manage the paper. So, it's like 2 hours per day on average is spent simply managing paper. It's a little bit insane when you really think about it, when you break it down to how much time the school is actually paying people for to simply move paper from one place to the next. It's a little bit crazy when you really calculate it all. So this is an example of the Hubbli digital form tool. I really suggest everybody here cut down on paper, because when we say digital forms, what I'm not referring to is emailing a PDF document to somebody, because then the parent prints off the PDF and they bring it into the school and they give it to you. And that's really when the work begins, right? So it's like, if you're going to be collecting physical paper and either putting it into a paper filing system to look up information later, or a lot of schools will collect all that paper and then spend like weeks, if not months, manually typing the data from the paper into another system or multiple redundant databases. That's incredibly time consuming. And there's some great digital form tools out there that reduce 100% of that work. So this is an example of the Hubbli digital form tool. If you look on the right side of the screen, that's just an example of like a very simple field trip form. But just to show you an example, like our tool has digital signatures and can take payments, but our digital forms, or any digital form tool, really can handle any type of forms that schools have to use, whether it's enrollment forms, anything that parents fill out, immunization records, all that stuff. And the key is that when they're submitted, like here on Hubbli, when the form is submitted, the job is done. The parents had a better time filling it out because they didn't have to manage paper. They don't like it either. And then the data is automatically filed for you into a digital filing system. And there's no typos, and sorry, there might be typos, but you're not getting like the handwritten, impossible to read stuff. That's that just creates many opportunities for additional human error. And and then looking up information it takes seconds, or printing something off or exporting it, whatever. The key is forms should be handled digitally, and that really is something that can save incredible amounts of time for managing that information. Polls also, they're a much easier way to make decisions, or at least getting consensus within a group. This is great for scheduling meetings, deciding on what gift to give your favorite parents. Anything really. It's a poll. So the point is that if you were to do this over a group email thread, like like the reply all function that we were talking about, that would be a really daunting task. And if you can just let everyone answer the poll, and it gets all the information you need much faster, with much less hassle. So making a poll like this one takes all of like a minute on the Hubbli system. This is just an example of a Hubbli poll for coming up with the next getting a poll for consensus on the next meeting. But there's other tools that do this, SurveyMonkey and Doodle. I really suggest using digital tools as much as possible, guys. And when it comes to dealing with a digital form provider like Hubbli, we'll actually organize your entries for you, so you don't even have to type them manually into like a spreadsheet or a database system, for weeks at a time. So then when you have to find something, it's a simple search or a sort, rather than thumbing through stacks of paper, right? So when there's a form or a report or a documentation filled out about a student, how much time does it take you to then organize and send it out to the parent or look up the information? So what if all the parents or staff had to do was just fill out the form, and the system sent the information to the right person automatically, and placed the information on a page about the student for easy lookup or printing or editing? So that's the type of thing you want to consider. This is how Hubbli does it, but you can get any digital form tool to ultimately connect with other digital tools and move information automatically without having to do it yourself manually. So just reducing all the steps in between the form submission. So even once it's a digital form, you should have some automated steps. As an example, let's just say here on Hubbli, let's say a teacher had to fill out an incident report. So it's a very simple form, tap tap, and they're done. Maybe leave some notes, and then automatically the parents of that child could get a message. With an incident report, you have to make sure the parents are informed about it. As another idea, with Hubbli, the teacher can fill out the form. They're done. Take them like 20 seconds to fill out the incident report, and then the admin can get a message with the form submission and a little button to approve it. And they look it over, and if it's good to go, they click approve, and then it goes to the parent. So like a number of steps being handled by a digital system without having to do it yourself. And scheduling should also be automated. So, what we usually hear is that, for things like parent-teacher conferences or school tours, the stuff is a lot of times done by paper or manually sending reminders to parents. So on Hubbli, we've got this automated digital scheduling system. So people could just see all the schedules from one central place, and then it sends out like automated confirmations and reminders before the events, and it handles cancellations and whatnot. So there's another thing that you should be using. Sign Up Genius is a really popular one, or Doodle. These are ways that you can really save a lot of time. And so up until now, we've been talking about the internal communications, with your enrolled parents. But I want to switch gears and talk about communicating with prospective parents. Most Montessori schools today really, they want to increase their enrollment numbers, or at least they want to increase the number of inquiries of families that are actually looking for a school like yours. So rather than parents who are just looking for anything, because you all know that if parents are more in line with the values of the Montessori method, they're more likely to stay. And the ones that aren't are more likely to leave, after a year, and maybe take a few more families with them when they go. So the best way to feel confident in directing the wrong families to maybe look for another school is to have enough inquiries so you don't feel like your back is up against the wall. So when set up properly, your school's website should be getting found by prospective families, and it should be increasing the number of inquiries of families that are an ideal fit for your school, and then driving them into your enrollment process. So another way to think about your school's website, it's kind of like a billboard on a street, right? I often give this analogy when helping people understand what Hubbli's web hosting and search engine optimization services can do for them. This is one of the core features that we offer. In fact, all of our other features that I've shown you about Hubbli are all delivered through this high-performing website, and it's easy to customize. So everyone knows that they need a website, and I don't think I've ever met a school that didn't have some kind of website online. But what I find is that most school directors don't quite understand what their website is meant to do for them. So one thing that is really key about your website is that it should be designed not to sell your school, actually, right? The purpose of your website is to get the right families to inquire about the school and to enter into your enrollment process. And this is actually a really important distinction because you should not be trying to sell someone on the Montessori method on your website. That's what the rest of your enrollment process is for. When they come to an open house or do a tour, etc., that's the time when you're really selling everything. But the point at which they find your school online is when it's all about getting them to that open house, right? That's the point. It's a step in the right direction. So one of the best ways to engage prospective parents is to use a blog. So, your blog is a great place to answer common questions, or something that talk about extracurriculars or whatever it is that you find parents are often asking. But I want you to pay attention for a second here. The most important blogging rule is that you need to stick to is to be consistent with your posting. So whether you're just starting a blog or maybe you want to dust off a blog that just kind of got dropped, that went inactive, the biggest thing to keep in mind is consistency. Okay, it's really the most important element of blogging. Of course, you have to be, saying something that's worthwhile reading. Beyond that, you got to make sure you're being consistent. Okay, so now's the time. I want you to pull out your pens and make sure that you're taking this idea down. A lot of people don't understand how to manage a blog, or it seems like it's too much work. So just think about, this is a simple approach. Use your teachers and your administrative team. Carve out a posting schedule that's not too daunting, right? The best way to do this is to assign a different staff member to each week, to post something. Everybody does 1 week, and just just make sure that you're writing useful parent-focused content, okay? Because that's just the thing that you want to keep in mind. Whatever your topics are, make sure it's something that the parents will actually would want to share with their friends. Like, I've got 2 toddlers. We're dealing with 2 toddlers, 15 months apart, potty training and other challenges. I'm definitely somebody that might enroll my child in your school. I would want to read something like how to get your kids to eat healthy, or top 3 strategies for handling sibling fights. I've got 2 little girls. They're getting into fights. I'm looking for ways to handle it properly as a great parent. And you guys for sure have wisdom that could help me do that better. So share that. And I would share that with other people. And that would be me promoting your school to my friends, right? Whether I'm a parent or not a parent, I could do that for you if I was a reader of your blog. So something to keep in mind. Okay, and we're getting short on time, so I'm going to skip a few things, and I just want to ask you, what do you think about all this stuff? I'm not exactly sure why you showed up here today, but I bet I can guess. You probably want to be able to send messages to parents and trust that they'll be read, and you probably want to free up your time from the kind of the boring and repetitive remedial activities like sorting through sheets of paper, so you can spend more time on the higher value and really more enjoyable tasks like being in the classroom with the kids, or talking to new families. So that you're capable of more. It's just that you need to get some of the roadblocks out of your way, and you want to give your parents a communication experience that they appreciate and they don't feel like they need to dodge. So you can do this. Like, you've shown up here today, you've made it a priority, you've taken notes, maybe you're even excited about making these changes. And I want you to know that, an efficient and a better parent engagement system can change your school and it can change your life. But you've got to know what to do at your specific school, because all schools are a little different. So, you have questions like, what's the skill level of your staff? And what are the communication expectations of your parents in your area? And what tools do you already know and use already, right? And how could they be more effective for you at your school with your parents? Or do you need to switch to some other tools maybe? And that's where we come in. So you've got 2 options. Option 1 is to take the information I've given you here today, which is pretty high level, and then figure it out, how to make changes on your own. You're certainly all smart and capable people, but I'm pretty sure, like most people in your shoes, you're really busy and you might not have a lot of time to figure all this stuff out. So the obvious question is, how can you quickly and easily figure this stuff out for your school specifically? So, we've started offering select schools a parent communication assessment. But before I start telling you about this, I want to get your permission. So do I have your permission to take a few minutes here, the end of the webinar, and tell you about how this assessment works? Please let me know. I'll wait until I get, somebody tells me yes. I want your permission before I go ahead and do that. I also need to take a break and sip some coffee. So please let me know if I have your permission to move forward and tell you about the parent communication report card. Stacy says yes, please. Okay. I'll do it then. Thank you, Stacy. The Hubbli Parent Communication Report Card is the absolute fastest way to learn exactly what your school needs to improve and simplify parent engagement, so you can free up your time to focus on the higher value tasks. What you'll learn is, how your website's performing for speed and security and overall search engine optimization. How is it, how is it doing? How is it being found by new families looking for a school like yours? Second thing is how you can increase the amount of inquiries of prospective families that are actually looking for the kind of programming that your school offers. And the last one is how you can substantially reduce the hassles and the workload of managing all these forms of parent communication. So what you get is, the way it works is you get a 1-hour live one-on-one assessment with me. You're going to get an actionable report with specific strategies and tools for your specific school. Optionally, if you want to sign up for Hubbli, we're going to give you a 50% off discount, and we'll offer setup, and you're going to get 1 free month of service. That's optional. You don't have to be a Hubbli customer to use this information from the report. So the first deliverable is this website health report. This is what it looks like, and basically we're just going to make it really clear to you where specifically you can improve your website. And this is information that you can take and use with maybe or whoever's managing your site, or you can find somebody new, maybe better to manage your website. But it's going to tell you exactly what you need to do to fix that. The second deliverable is your action list. So we're going to give you an action list identifying the top 3 things you need for all the different tools that you're either using or the ones that you need to switch to. And the third one, this is where we get really crystal clear, understanding exactly what your current processes are costing you and how much additional profit or revenue, net revenue, the school could be making with small adjustments to everything. So this is an ironclad business planning report that no school owner or partner or board could ever argue with. So remember, numbers don't lie. So if you want to have an easy time convincing somebody that things need to change, this is something you definitely want to have in your back pocket. So what's the investment? So the total value of doing this today is of what we're offering you is $2,996. So the parent communication report card's value, the regular price for that is $498. The regular price of the Hubbli setup, as an option, if you choose to go for Hubbli, the regular price would be $19.99. And then the Hubbli monthly fee, the regular price on that is $199. So all that together is priced at $2,696. But your investment today, so you can get started today. Everything is available to you for only $97. So we made this as easy as possible for you to get really big results. So the parent communication report card is $97. And if you choose, so that's all you have to pay for, and you're going to get that session with me, with all those deliverables, all for $97. And if you choose to move forward and you want to use Hubbli, we're going to give you a 50% discount off the setup. So that reduces that by $1,000, and in your first month on Hubbli would be down to $0. So that would be a total savings of $1,400. So you can get started today. Now we only have 5 spots available. So you can get started today. The first 5 people to sign up will be able to get it, and that'll be $97 each. And so I'm going to actually drop down the a button so that you can actually purchase it right now here. So this will be available for 15 minutes here. But you can get it any time today if you go to hubbli.com/getreport. But if you, this is the bonus I was talking about. If you, I'm missing a slide. Oh, there we go. If you act fast, you'll actually get this bonus, which is a free download of an ebook that I've written. And it's called Mastering Parent Engagement. And so this is a free bonus offer. Anyone that signs up for the Parent Communication Report Card in the next 15 minutes gets this free. So another important thing to know is that at Hubbli, we make it we make it a very high priority to ensure that the highest level of customer service. So we have to limit how many customers we take on at any time, and that's why we're only able to do this for five new people. We only have the capacity to take on five of these assessments. So we need to make sure we can deliver on what we promise, and so it doesn't take away from our existing customers. So at this point, unfortunately, we only have the capacity for five to do these consulting packages. And they're generally always selling out. So you might want to, if you're interested in that, it's a great offer, and you want to click on the button. But you can try later on today, also at hubbli.com/get-report. But if you do it now, in the next 15 minutes, you're going to get that ebook download for free. And now's a great time to ask any questions that you might have. Like, I'm here to answer questions. Does anybody, have any questions about either Hubbli or any other questions about how this assessment works, or anything that I've talked about today? We've gone over a lot of topics. We've talked about websites and blogging and digital forms and newsletters and how to use them the most effective ways. So please use the chat box and ask us any questions you've got. The other thing I want to mention is that this parent communication report card actually does come with a 100% money back guarantee. Plus, if you do it and you feel that it wasn't worth your time, we'll give you every penny back, no questions asked. And then also, you can get $25 back for your time. So we don't want you to waste your time. If you felt that it was a waste of your time, we'll pay you for your time. So I hope that that helps you decide to move forward. We don't want you to feel like you're risking any money or your time for that matter. So does anybody have any questions about the parent communication report or any of the content from the webinar today? I'm here for another few minutes to answer any questions you might have. Feel free to use the chat box, ask any questions. So we're going to let this run for another minute. At this point, there are two spots left for the parent communication report. Please let me know if you've got any questions at all or comments. We'd love your feedback just in general. What did you think about the information? Was it helpful? Was it, would you agree it's applicable to you in your position? Anything would be really awesome to hear from you guys, especially feedback. It's always a pleasure to learn what we can do better with our presentations. Thanks, Mary Lou. That's helpful feedback. Thank you very much. But chat with us about the price. If price is an issue, um, you know, that we try to make sure that price doesn't get in the way of schools, getting the benefits. The reality is that if a system like Hubbli is utilized, um, you should actually see more savings in the school than you spend on Hubbli, and Hubbli will also help you generate revenue. So you actually end up, getting a really big return on the investment of using a tool like Hubbli. It should have that result. Any system, anything that you do should have a result like that, and we can show you how that works if you want to set up a time. Certainly, but the parent communication report card will actually help identify those opportunities as well, and you can use the what information you gain either from. You can use Hubbli to, you can implement the information with Hubbli or with other systems. The idea is that you're informed. You're playing heads up baseball, and really the point and the result should be not just improve parent engagement, but also you should be seeing a well. Oh, so so Brightwheel is a great tool. It only does certain things. Hubbli does actually quite a lot more than Brightwheel. So Brightwheel is it's the free tool. Does some things that Hubbli does as well, but there's a lot of things that Hubbli does that we haven't even spoken about today that will actually help you reduce expenses and generate more revenue at your school, and that's really the something you want to be looking for. Well, thanks for your feedback, Mary Lou. Is there anybody else that has any questions or feedback? I'd love to answer any questions that you guys have. And make sure you come and check out our blog. If you come to our website, hubbli.com, you can sign up to get information like this. We have a newsletter. We're always posting helpful school management ideas, things like how to improve retention rate, how to get parents to read your newsletter. We talk about all these different topics that I've gone into. Pretty much everything I covered today, we've got blog articles on, and we've got e-courses you can sign up for. All this stuff is free, so feel free to sign up. And we have a lot of downloads and handouts and handbooks and things like that. We're always producing every week because well, we love it, and we love helping schools understand how to improve communication management. It's kind of our obsession. Well, I'm going to end it here today. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us. It's an honor to have you. Thanks for your feedback and your questions. And just letting you know, we'll be doing this again on Friday with Jonathan Wolff this time. I'm so sorry he wasn't able to make it today, but he will be joining us live on Friday. I made sure that with him there won't be any scheduling conflicts. So we'll let you know how to sign up for that as well. Thanks, everybody. Have a phenomenal day. And do be in touch with us. You can email me at Jono, Jono, at Hubbli.com, Hubbli.com. And of course, you can get that parent communication report card at Hubbli.com/getreport. And if you want to take down our number, you can call at 1-888-415-4450. My direct extension is 100. That's 1-888-415-4450. All the best, everybody. Have a great day.